Since starting out as Timely Comics in 1939, Marvel's created countless classics, and also done a few things they probably wish we'd forget. Here are a few of the biggest missteps that the comics powerhouse and blockbuster movie machine will never be able to erase, try as they might. Disney made headlines for all the wrong reasons when James Gunn was abruptly fired from his writer-director gig on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Gunn was axed in response to years-old social media posts full of bad attempts at dark humor. For many disappointed fans, it wasn't the fact that Gunn was fired that was so outrageous. Show business can be brutal like that. What bothered most was how quickly Disney caved to the pressure. As defenders of Gunn have argued, including the vocal Guardian star Dave Bautista, the post only re-emerged as part of a concentrated campaign by far-right agitators to get Gunn fired, particularly alt-right conspiracy theorist Mike Cernovich. Despite efforts by the cast to get the director reinstated, Disney stood by the decision, and some still haven't forgiven them. For his part, Gunn landed on his feet, being quickly scooped up by Warner Brothers to write and potentially direct the Suicide Squad sequel. But the firing has still left one of the MCU's best series feeling tarnished, with fans mourning what could have been. Marvel made some important strides toward fair representation in Hollywood with Black Panther, but sadly, it took the studio longer to find the nerve to do the same for gender equality. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has been discussing the possibility of a Black Widow movie for what seems like forever. Speaking at a press conference in support of the release of Iron Man 2 on DVD back in 2010, Feige said, "We've already started discussions with Scarlett about the idea of a solo movie and have begun putting together concepts, but the Avengers comes first." The Black Widow movie was bumped to the bottom of the pile in favor of new male-led franchises and sequels in the years that followed. It wasn't until Warner Brothers and DC proved with 2017's Wonder Woman that female-led superhero movies could work that Marvel got on board with the idea, greenlighting Black Widow and fast-tracking Captain Marvel. But why did it take so long? Feige told Entertainment Weekly, "I think there are a lot of reasons, not the least of which was fighting for many years the erroneous notion that audiences did not want to see a female-led hero film because of a slew of films 15 years ago that didn't work. And my belief was always that they didn't work not because they were female-led stories, they didn't work because they were not particularly good movies."
Okay, bad, good, gotta be something in between, right? Maybe it's a little more complicated.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is known for being a well-oiled machine, making the whole extended movie universe thing seem easy by planning ahead years in advance. That's true for the most part, but the MCU is far from watertight. Its timeline has some major issues, and some attentive fans have pointed them out. The questions began when viewers noticed that lines of dialogue and title cards in the Sony-Marvel collaboration Spider-Man: Homecoming stated that the movie takes place some 8 years after the events of the Avengers. This didn't seem to tally, and Avengers co-director Joe Russo confirmed that it was indeed an error. Marvel released an official MCU timeline in the Marvel Studios' The First 10 Years sourcebook. The new corrected timeline confirmed that the Avengers took place in 2012 and placed Homecoming in 2016. Unfortunately, the new timeline raised more questions than it answered.
You weren't manipulating the space-time continuum, you were breaking it.
Dialogue in Infinity War states that the third Avengers film takes place 2 years after Captain America: Civil War, but the timeline places them just a year apart. Screen Rant writer Thomas Bacon points out that the most confusing choice is the new timing of Black Panther. The new official timeline places Civil War in 2016 and Black Panther in 2017, but the Wakandan king T'Chaka dies in Civil War, and his son T'Challa is named king in the beginning of Black Panther. So unless the final brawl between Cap and Iron Man took place around New Year's Eve, the new timeline is saying that Black Panther left Wakanda without a king for around a year. And that doesn't sound like something he would do. Try as it might, Marvel just can't figure out a way to fix the timeline.
Now, there's no time at all.
When Kevin Feige announced that the cast of Black Panther would be 90% African or African American, he made it clear that Marvel movies were going to embrace diversity going forward. For a while, it seemed as though Marvel Comics was going to follow the same path. But in a 2017 interview, Senior Vice President of Sales David Gabriel appeared to complain about the company's new emphasis on diversity. According to Gabriel, sales figures suggested that diversity wasn't what Marvel fans really wanted. The senior VP told ICV2, "What we heard was that people didn't want any more diversity. They didn't want female characters out there. We saw the sales of any character that was diverse, any character that was new, our female characters, anything that was not a core Marvel character, people were turning their nose up against." Naturally, the interview led to a backlash, and Gabriel was forced to release a statement clarifying his comments. He claimed that Marvel bosses were proud and excited about the new range of diverse characters, but hadn't done enough to promote them. In 2017, a Marvel comic made headlines across the world for all the wrong reasons. The company relaunched its X-Men line in April of that year, but what should have been a time for celebration quickly descended into controversy thanks to Adrian Syaf, a Muslim artist who hid political and religious references in X-Men Gold #1. On top of referencing the date of a protest held in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta, Syaf drew the X-Men leader Kitty Pryde, a Jewish superhero, in front of a jewelry store. While the whole sign is legible, fans point out that the first 3 letters were particularly prominent. He also drew fan favorite Colossus in a t-shirt with QS 551 written across the chest, a reference to an anti-Semitic and anti-Christian verse from the Quran. It's easy to see why readers were upset about the message Syaf was secretly peddling, a message that goes against the inclusive themes of the X-Men. After predictably firing Syaf, Marvel released a statement that read, "These implied references do not reflect the views of the writer, editors, or anyone else at Marvel, and are in direct opposition of the inclusiveness of Marvel Comics, and what the X-Men have stood for since their creation."
We're the X-Men, dated metaphor for racism in the 60s. So, respect. At ease, officer.
Marvel started a very public spat with fans with 2016's Captain America Steve Rogers #1. It was revealed at the end of the explosive issue that Marvel's Star-Spangled Avenger turned to the dark side, with Steve Rogers revealing himself to be a Hydra agent. The fact that Hydra is essentially an offshoot of the Nazis didn't seem to matter to Marvel, though it mattered to fans. Petitions were started, and hashtags like Say No to Hydra Cap and even Boycott Marvel appeared on social media. Marvel kept telling fans to hang tight, and in the end, Hydra Cap was defeated. But was it worth it?
Whoever he used to be, and the guy he is now, I don't think he's the kind you save. He's the kind you stop.
A lot of readers felt like it wasn't worth it at all, and Polygon gave voice to those fans, writing during its Secret Empire autopsy, "It's irresponsible to play sleight of hand with potentially volatile and offensive imagery just because it all works out in the end." Rock legends Alice Cooper and Kiss had already starred in comics in the 70s. The company decided to resurrect the idea of inking musicians in the mid-90s, at a time when comic books were once again big business. In a detailed piece for Spin, David Grossman wrote, "The Marvel Music imprint aimed to not only revive the forgotten rock comics genre, but elevate it to new heights, both artistically and commercially. In the end, Marvel Music mostly served as a vehicle for the higher-ups at a newly rich company to hang out with rock stars." Comics starring Billy Ray Cyrus, Onyx, the Rolling Stones, and even Bob Marley were hastily put together, but Marvel just couldn't figure out how to market them, much to the dismay of Marvel music head Mort Todd. Recruited from Cracked magazine to helm Marvel's more rock-minded comics, Todd told Spin, "They didn't know how to sell anything that wasn't superheroes, so I was infuriated with Marvel and didn't renew my contract." Marvel Music's spectacular failure contributed to one of Marvel's darkest times. The Dud imprint was pulled in 1995, and Marvel filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy the following year. Brian Michael Bendis joined the Marvel writing staff in 2000 and quickly made a name for himself working on the Ultimate Spider-Man series. His Marvel career got off to a flying start, but his relationship with fans turned sour in 2004 when he was given creative control over Earth's mightiest heroes. Buoyed by the success of his Spidey run, Bendis went in hot and decided to shake things up big time. Instead of easing himself into the title, he disassembled the Avengers, killing off Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and Vision, and scattering the remaining team members. In 2018, Bendis told CBR, "Some fans liked it, and some hated it. There were a lot of arguments online, and a fan said to me, 'We're Avengers fans. All we buy is Avengers, and we have no idea who you are, but you came over and kicked all our toys over.'" In November 2017, 17 years after he started working for Marvel, Bendis jumped ship and signed an exclusive deal with DC Comics. When he spoke to CBR a few months later, the new Superman writer pledged that he wouldn't make the same mistakes that he made on the Avengers. He explained, "It's not that I would have changed the story of Avengers, but the glee with which I did things, I could have been more cool with." Just weeks after Brian Michael Bendis departed for DC, Marvel's editor-in-chief Axel Alonso also left the company without explanation. Veteran writer C.B. Cebulski took his place at the top, but his reign was destined for a rocky start. The week after he was announced as the new head honcho at Marvel Comics, Sobolski admitted that he'd previously written under the pseudonym Akira Yoshida. Akira Yoshida was once a mysterious character in the comic book world, gaining notoriety in the mid-2000s for his work with Marvel, who were desperate to find foreign writers that could create authentic stories for the American audience. As it turned out, Yoshida wasn't a fresh foreign voice at all. Sobolski had been masquerading as a Japanese writer, inventing a full backstory and conducting interviews. Among the outlets that managed to score a rare interview with Yoshida when he was active was CBR, and the website's assistant editor John Aberdan was not happy when he found out about Sobolski's deception. Aberdan wrote, "One or more people were fully dedicated to perpetrating this nearly endless trail of dishonesty to maintain the false aura of authenticity surrounding the mysterious Akira Yoshida. Sobolski finally owning up to it is certainly a small step in the right direction, but the damaged reputations and the harm done to writers, artists, and readers may take years to repair."
Caught in my own web of lies!
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.